Alright, so now we're up to Numeron.
Numeron.
Quater decided to make a being of greater substance than any of his previous creations. Numeron looks like a pile of cubes. He was obsessed with being sensible and correct in everything, following the rules to the letter. Numeron rarely did anything on his own without asking Quater for his explicit directions. Numeron loved his crown and wore it with much pride, perhaps a little too much pride. He made 300 duplicates of himself, whom he would boss around all day, every day. So he's a bunch of cubes. These are some of their genealogies. The firstborn of Numeron was Nabris, a clone of Numeron. The firstborn of Nabris was Thopo-Bean, the similar, then Libda Mazbim, Mishmash, Hamdu, Bim, Dad, Emat, Dad is a weird name, Juder, Big Ephish, Shiphan, and Hamdek. These were the sons of Nabris. And the sons of Thopo-Bean were Narmiz, Jock, Gok, Wim, Naibi, Itchy-Itch, Kashi, and Chip-Chape. And the sons of Naibi were Abesh and Naded. And the sons of Itchy-Itch were Hophi, Rephi, Masinkrog, Adiba, Inkerkrog, and Ha. All these were the sons of Thopo-Bean the similar. And Numeron was the father of Numeron Jr. The sons of Numeron Jr. were Li Mimba and Supa Nupa.
Numeron Jr. Jr. and he just kept on adding on.
Just more juniors added on.
Yeah.
The sons of Li Mimba were Zaphael, Loiter, Shohorf, Malagasket, and Harak. The sons of Zaphael were Namet, Ramo, Ifez.
Ifez? That's weird. But it reminds me of I5. R5. Dun 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 dun. Sorry, that's from Skylanders Trap Team. Go and check it out if you'd like.
Skylanders reference. This was way before Skylanders, though, this game. Maytag, Zanek, Animit, and Kalama. The sons of Loiter were Thahan, and Harpin-Barpin, Ham, Mash, Mashed Ham. I wonder if that's any good. And Shaza. Ham and mashed potatoes is pretty good, though. And the sons of Harpin-Barpin were Pies. Pies are good. Bud. That's a good name. Labo Punky. Nobiz. Hana. Noshbagash. Oshkosh-Bagosh. Rees. And Nasheed. I think I know a guy named Nasheed. And the sons of Bud were Ero and Mamo.
And it keeps on going on and on and on. So on. So forth. and this is getting ridiculous.
And Natol's sister was Annie Nit. And the sons of Noshgosh were Alan Nunibiz and Labi, Eve, and Mano. And the sons of Nunibiz were Haxokina Geek and Sot. And the nephew of There's a person named Okay. The son of Sot was Knock Knock. And the sons...
Knock, knock. The door. If you want to check that out, that's from an Afton movie. If you want to know. I have all the latest YouTube videos in my noodle, if you don't know that means brain.
And the sons of Knock Knock were Narm, Nab, Narthi, and Nar, and Rees.
So on and so forth. I don't need any more I'm gonna die.
The sons of Rees were Nalbo and Nazaz an Natab.
That's a weird name.
You think? That's the first weird name you've seen?
No.
The sons of Nalbo.
What was the first weird name I saw?
That was the first. I've seen many other weird names in this. The sons of Nalbo were Zu.
What?
Or Za. No, I think it's Za and Nara Katam Galbaloof.
What? That's the weirdest name I have ever heard.
Now these are the kings who reigned in the land of Heka before the king of the sons of Numeron Jr. reigned. Aleb was the son of Royandel, and the name of this city was Havtu.
Have to.
When Aleb died, Baburno, the son of Hiwa of Harzab, became king in his place. When Baburno died, Mashush of the land of the Namatites became king in his place. When Mashush died, Dada, the son of Dadeb, who defeated Midian in the field of Baum, became king in his place, and the name of his city was Theme. When Dada died, Pehalu of Hakersam became king in his place. When Pehalu died, Uwi of Thathat by the river became king in his place. When Uwi died, Nanabal, the son of Robabja by the sea, became king in his place. When Nanabal died, Dada became king in his place, and the name of his city was Ayep, and his wife's name was Dimethicone, the daughter of Padimate, the daughter of Obenzom. Then Dada died. Okay. Now the chiefs of Heka were Chief Amniti, Chief Emoliant, Chief Theth, Chief Hamabilolo, Chief Hail, Chief Nonip, Chief Zanek, Chief Namet, Chief Razama, Chief Lenez, and Chief Mary. These were the chiefs of Heka. Now Numeron paid little attention to these beings he had already made. Rather he focused intently on new beings to create and neglect. Numeron made Nabris' brother Abris, who was a pure-hearted, obedient follower, in spite of the fact that Numeron ignored him. He just creates guys and just neglects them. Nabris became convinced that no one could be as good as Abris made himself appeared, and he feared that Abris would eventually displease Quater, so Nabris, believing that Numeron was paying no attention, destroyed Abris by breaking off all of the many antlers that covered Abris' back and neck. This heinous act did in fact escape Numeron's notice, but Quater himself was watching, and he smote Nabris with permanent blindness. Now the sons of Narcolin, the son of Numeron, were Limher, Ma, and Iabulek. And Ma became the father of Badanima, and Badanima became the father of Noshan, leader of the sons of Narcolin. And Noshan became the father of Amlas. Amlas became the father of Zoab. Zoab became the father of Debo, and Debo became the father of Esse. And Esse became the father of Baal, his firstborn, and Badaniba the second, Amish the third, and Lenathan the fourth, Iadar the fifth, Mizo the sixth, Hank the seventh, and their sisters were Juarez and Liagiba. And the three sons of Juarez were Ashba, Box, well they are cubes, so, and Lehasa and Liagiba bore Muddy Bing Pudi, and the father of Muddy Bing Pudi was Jethro, the Nabrisite. And Muddy Bing Pudi became the father of Banana Grunt. Banana Grunt became the father of Nozu Chluk, leader of the sons of Nodisi. Reading this is really testing my obsessive-compulsive disorder, I'll tell you that much. Nozu Chluk became the father of Amwat. Amwat became the father of Goatflem. Goatflem became the father of Denturu Patur, and Denturo-Patur became the father of Kuptpt, and Kuptpt became the father of Vq, his firstborn, and Huiyukin the second, Tanana the third, Bizq the fourth, Iata the fifth, and Nitindo the sixth. Nagoink the seven and their sisters were Beach Noodle and Gramlet, and the three sons of Beach Noodle were Corpup, Pango, and Quitit. And Gramus bore Asma, and the father of Asma was Othal. Asma, that's a bad name. The father of Asma was Othal the obscure prince. Now the sons of Numero, Benti, the son of Numeron, were Lientho and High Harry Hapsicumbi, and the son of Lientho was That, and the son of That was Ath. So we have a Bert, and we have a That. Interesting. And Ath became the father of Oprah. Oprah. So Oprah's in this story as well. And Harry became the father of Mish Capiche, for they were craftsmen, and Mish Capiche became the father of Nadar Zuben. Numeron was the father of Niran. Niran became the father of those who dwell in 8 by 14-foot thatched huts and use pygmy shrimp swabs. His brother's name was Naran, whose food had to be pre-chewed by Niran. Naran became the father of all those who celebrate in Numeron's birthday parade, playing the Pinker Krog and Nikatoilibang. Numeron became the father of Numbi. Then Numeron became the father of Nazak the Great, and Numeron was the father of Kilfax, who just sat there. Well, he's a cube, what do you expect? One year Numeron lost half of his beings off a cliff. They were on one of their morning marches when the ground fell off from under one of their leaders. How do cubes march? And half of the others followed before Numeron noticed their peril, and was able to convince the rest to turn back. Though 150 beings marched straight off a cliff, not all of these perished. Many were some of Numeron's hardiest creations. The two that were the strongest and came through the fall most intact were Numbi and Nazak the Great. The fall landed Numeron's beings in the trench of Amarus. There Numbi and Nazak set up kingdoms, the twin kingdoms of Numbi and Nazak. This did not go unnoticed by Numeron. He saw that as soon as the surviving beings thought that they were outside the presence of Numeron, they forgot him and his world. They began their own societies. Numeron absorbed their wickedness and saw that it was great. Numeron was sorry that he ever made any beings at all. He said to himself, "Not only do I have to keep cracking the whip, so to speak, over these beings night and day, but to top it all off, as soon as I am out of their sight, they forget me. At least I still have 150 to keep under my thumb, and believe me, I will. The rest of these I can destroy. I'll cause a catastrophic explosion throughout the trench. That'll show them." So it's just kind of like the Great Flood. But Numeron saw that Numbi was a blameless creature. Numbi was a righteous king. In fact, he was the only being in the trench of Aramus that remembered Numeron. They called it the Trench of Aramus because of the swit trees that grow there. The actual name of the trench was Great Canyon of the Ruins of Desolation No. 5. He tried and tried for 12.5 years to remind the subjects in his modest little kingdom about the past, but since Numeron would not take the time to make himself known, they would not remember him. He just neglected them. His subjects thought Numbi was a fine king, but they would not heed his warning, and their creator would not tolerate their corruption forever. Nazak the Great, on the other hand, did not think Numbi was a fine king. He considered Numbi and his preaching about Numeron a nuisance. Nazak's kingdom grew every day, filling more and more of the trench. The southern sector extended from the wilderness of Ziniflox along the side of Ibisimperut. Then the south side was from the edge of Hapalanche, and the border went westward and went to the fountain of the waters of Neopithim, And the border went down to the edge of the hill, which is in the valley of Bonaplink, which is in the valley of Bupabumjoy, northward, and it went down to the valley of Dicunwang, okay, to the slope of Unjawapung, southward, and went down to Bok, and it extended northward, and went to Sabuta, and went to Soisinga, which is opposite the ascent of Intanina, and it went down to the stone of Ru, the son of Lu, and it continued to the side in front of the left-handed Fletchy northward, and went down to the left-handed Fletchy, and the border continued to the side of Hogla Dogla northward, and the border extended at the north bay of the Stinky Sea, at the south end of the Heliahogma. Moreover, the Heliahogma was its border on the east side, and the southern border extended from the end of the Stinky Sea eastward. Then the border turned direction from the south to the ascent of Akak in Ziba, and continued to Ziniflox, and its termination was to the south of Radish Barnmold, and it reached Huz, and continued to the Itsiabigi, even unto the great river that is called Miflewimsk the Uncrossable, except in a couple of places where it gets slow and shallow, and unto the early Rises clubhouse, and the border turned direction from Hey-Wait to the brook of Taigi, and its termination was at the sea, finally. And for the western border it was the amazing colossal sea, that is, its coastline. This was the western border, and this was the north border. Oh, it keeps going. They drew the border line from the amazing colossal sea to Mount Pefilter. They drew a line from Mount Pefilter to the Hodis Kelly. Then the border went up to the side of Hintma on the north, and went up through the hill country westward, and it ended at the wilderness of Canbens, and from there the border continued to Quelp, to the side of Quelp, that is Refel-Kaklel, southward, and the border went down to Atamantshu, near the hill which lies on the south of Lower Surgurt, and the border extended from there and turned round and the west side southward from the hill which lies before Surgurt. I mean, it would help to have a map, you know. Southward, and it extended at Sourbed, that is Sour Nobel, a city of the sons of Mish Kapish, and the termination of the border was at Blytensuch. This was the northern border. Now the eastern border reached the border of Edupated southward to the wilderness of Brainworm at the extreme south. Then it proceeded southward to the ascent of Quell, from and continued to Brainworm, then went up by the south of Radish Barnmold and continued to Larry, just Larry, okay, and went up to Rebatin Purchase and turned about to Clarksdill, and it continued to Stewlumps and proceeded to the brook of Fathering, to the border. Then the border went up to Burndaggett and continued on the north of undoubtedly Moister, which is opposite the ascent of Surmapleet, which is on the south of the valley, and the border continued to the waters of Hausenploop. And the border went up to the top of the mountain, which is before the valley of Twisted Bomb, which is at the end of the valley of Garantov toward the north, and from the top of the mountain the border curved to the spring of the waters of Rankness, and the border turned about from Baliksisik westward to Mount Dosovsky. They drew a line from Dosovsky to Shemp, and the border went down from Shemp to Reapley Engine. I like Shemp from Three Stooges. On the east side of and continued toward Pylohylodilo, which means I don't think I can put that much in my mouth. And the border went down and reached the slope on the east side of the sea of Often Fallen Into, and the border went down to the Fibrillatin, and its termination was at the Stinky Sea. Is that the end? Termination? Okay. This was Nazak the Great's land according to its borders all around. Okay, good. His thriving cities were all decadent and vile, but that is what sells. That is what the people want. Thus his kingdom grew, even taking in droves of defectors from the good kingdom of Numbi. So is this kind of now we're getting to you know, the what were those two cities in the Bible that get destroyed? Yet still not content with his great wealth of power, riches, and influence, he coveted the dry, rocky land of the kingdom of Numbi. Nazak plotted a war of conquest against Numbi. Numeron saw all of this and knew that Numbi's number was coming up. Numbi's number. So he paid a visit to Numbi to explain the catastrophic explosion. Numbi was alone when Numeron arrived. Numeron wanted to speak with Numbi and his wife Grace. So Numbi went searching for her. The basement was flooded, so she was not there. She was in the attic, which in the kingdom of Numbi is called an Izalolo. So Numbi found her there, high and dry. They went together to the patio where Numeron addressed them. Numbi, I am going to blow up this trench with all these vile beings in it, but I don't want to destroy you and Grace, so I want you to build not an ark, a tree house, where you can stay and remain safe during the explosion. Okay, a tree house. Numeron gave Numbi a blueprint for the tree house and described the exact location of the tree he wanted him to build it in. He also gave him very specific details for the construction of the treehouse. You shall make a treehouse from wheat bee wood. It shall be a split-level treehouse with an enclosed foyer, gabled roof, with rough beam ceiling, bay windows, in the living room, and in the kitchen over the sink. All the measurements are here on the floor plan. As Numbi and Grace worked on the treehouse, their neighbors, who formerly thought of Numbi as a fine king, came out to mock the construction of the treehouse. Numeron, who had given Numbi 7 days to complete the construction of the treehouse, and he was nearly finished. By then Nazak the Great had completed his plans for conquest, and his armies were massed and marching toward the capital of Numbi. Then King Numbi and Grace entered the treehouse as instructed by Numeron. Numeron detonated the catastrophic explosion, destroying all the beings but Numbi and Grace in the twin kingdoms of Numbi and Nazak the Great in the trench of Amarus. Now, this great explosion had disrupted the deep panels of the world. A hot green substance belched forth from the cracks in the panels and filled the canyon. Numbi and Grace watched as the hot green swirled around the foot of the tree. They were trapped. Now wheat bee wood is impossible to burn, so they were safe as long as they did not leave the treehouse. Many days passed as Numbi and Grace grew hungry. One evening they looked out beyond the tree and sang a song to Numeron regarding their hunger. Numeron, send us food to Chumeron. Numeron, send us food to Chumeron. Numeron, send us food to Chumeron. Numeron heard their plea, and he sent a great bird to nest in the tree in which the treehouse was built. Every morning the great bird laid a giant egg which landed in Numbi and Grace's bed. They gently cracked the eggs open to find 5-course meals prepared, complete with a fine linen tablecloth and brass candelabra. They lived this way for many days until the hot green cooled to become just green. This new form of ground felt lovely to walk on. They lived happily for many ages. Grace died one beautiful day. Numbi died 3 days later. Well, that's kind of sad. So everyone just died in that kingdom. There was just no one left. He just killed everyone. All right. And that's the end. All right. Yeah, that's it. Everyone died. And there's not even a picture of Numeron. He was just a bunch of cubes. And now we're up to Ottoborg. All right. I need a break because just reading all that I just need to rest my vocal cords for a bit. And we will continue this in the next episode. I'll see you guys later. And we'll read Otto Borg's story, I guess the fourth prince of Quater. See you later.